Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out to this press conference at this beautiful setting here. I'm Charlie Johnston. I'm Cat Wall's general consultant and campaign manager. Today, we're going to be talking about real answers to real problems, and I'm delighted that we have with us State Representative Tony Tinderholt from Arlington. Over the last decade, Tony has been the most passionate and effective voice for family and Texas traditional values in the legislature. He's not running again, but he's still going to be in public service. We are delighted to have him here talking to you today. And you know, Cat feels a special kinship with Tony because 10 years ago, in a primary, he took out an opponent who liked to talk conservative but vote with Democrats. So, you know, we could kind of identify. So, with no further ado, here is State Representative Tony Tinderholt.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Can you guys hear me okay? Good. We're going to talk about a little bit of stuff, maybe a lot of stuff, but it's going to be good. First and foremost, you saw me with my Diet Coke over there. My wife did the coolest commercial. So I am leaving the Texas house. After 12 years of being in the Texas house, 21 years in the military, my children in February asked me to do that retire thing. They're 7 and 9. And I think when your children tell you, can you do the retire thing, and they cry and say that they want daddy to be home for bedtime prayer, bedtime books, snuggles in person instead of over FaceTime, because when a 7 and 9-year-old tell you they're tired of FaceTime, that says a lot, right? And so I did announce retirement, but I am running for Tarrant County Commissioner. And to come full circle, my wife did a commercial, and if you know me, I love Diet Coke. And the very end of the commercial was amazing. My wife said, and my husband loves me more than Diet Coke, which says a lot, right? It's the best commercial ever. And we didn't realize, I didn't know she was going to add that to it. And when it came out, I'm telling you, it is going viral. It's the funniest, cutest thing ever. It's amazing, but I do love Diet Coke. I'm here today. I wasn't going to come. I'll be totally honest. I'm here today because I put out some information about a few candidates that voted very, very poorly. They voted with the Democrats to kill an amendment that would have protected children from social transitioning. Now, social transitioning is not carving the children up and doing that barbaric thing. It's another barbaric thing. It's where a child that may be a boy tells their teacher that they think they're a girl. Most of us here would say, hey, let's go get that child some mental health assistance, right? I use this example all the time. Nobody in the crowd here, if someone said, hey, I feel like a dog or I feel like a cat, would give them a litter box and affirm what they're thinking. We would ask them to get mental health assistance. We'd get the family. Well, what these medical professionals are doing is they're affirming what we know is wrong, and they're not getting mental health assistance for these children. And so I had a lot of seniority, and I used my seniority that 2 sessions ago to leave my favorite committee, which was public safety, law enforcement, and I took public health. People would say, why would you go to public health? I went to public health for one thing. We look ahead and we think that we can see the vision of what's going to happen this next session, and we thought that child gender modification was going to come up. So I chose that committee so that I could be deeply involved in ensuring that not only did it pass, but it was the most powerful bill in the country. And I'm glad to tell you that Tom Oliverson did a wonderful job on that bill. We got it across the line, we all worked hard on it, and it passed. But I'll tell you what didn't happen. What didn't happen is we were not able to get social transitioning on that bill. Well, I decided during session that I was going to use every opportunity to try to make sure that social transitioning of children stopped. Now I'm going to play you something in committee where I asked medical professionals, can a man have a baby? I said, what is the difference between a man and a woman? What is a woman? We had medical professionals that have been in the industry for a couple decades, that went to school for 16 years, that could not tell me the difference between a man and a woman. And I'm not going to play that video, but I did say my 5-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter at the time can tell you the difference just by looking at them. And if they can't look at them, They can probably tell you the difference between a boy and a girl just because they know what anatomy is and they know what biology is and they know the simple truths about humans, right? And the thing I'm going to play you is a psychiatrist that I'm asking questions, and I basically ask her, if this bill passes the way it is right now, will you continue to socially transition children? And what do you think her answer was? The answer was yes. And after I show you that video, I'm going to come full circle and show you why I did these different amendments. And we'll kind of go into those details in just a moment. So give me a second to pull that up. And I think you're going to be appalled at what you listen to. So do you assist some of these folks, young children, in transition?
I assist in their mental health care during transition. That's what you're asking, sir.
So are you supportive of it with the individuals?
I think that's a fair statement in the context of, doing, again, a careful assessment, collaborating with parents, collaborating with the young person.
So as we go through this, if this bill passes the way that it is, you can continue to do the services you do. They just won't be able to get the medication and they may not be able to get the surgery. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So you could continue. Is that disturbing to anybody? That we have medical professionals, grown men and women that have been to school for at least 16 years that are a doctor, a medical professional with a white coat, that we go to these medical professionals and we want them to take care of us. And they're affirming gender dysphoria. They're affirming that this child thinks that they're something else. Are you with me? So as the session went on, I found bills where we could stop it. And what I tell people is, I'm willing to protect your child or your grandchild, one hospital, one grant at a time. Or do you agree with that? One hospital, one grant at a time. We had Carl Tepper come on the radio, and what Carl Tepper did was Carl Tepper decided to come on the Chad Hasty show, and he's a state rep, and he didn't vote for it. Him getting involved actually is going to hurt him because I didn't mention his name in it, but he's one of the 11 that voted with Democrats to kill my amendment. Went on the Chad Hasty show and said, nobody really likes Tony. And, it was a gotcha amendment. Well, first and foremost, it wasn't a gotcha amendment because I explained why I did it. I'm in the committee. I want to protect every child. And if it was a gotcha amendment, Carl Tepper would not have said, hey, 28 people voted against it. But Tony came into the members lounge and told us to change our votes so that it wouldn't hurt us later because it was a super important vote. What you don't know is 17 of those 28 members changed their vote. Angela Orr was one of 11 that refused to change their vote and either is okay with the transition, the social transition of children and their sex, what they think they are, their sex is, or she didn't like Tony Tinderholt. I don't care which one it is, she's wrong. And the fact that her and the other 3 people are saying that I'm lying is an absolute farce. It should be an embarrassment to their campaign. It should be an embarrassment to their state office that they would lie. The fact of the matter is 17 Republicans changed their vote, 11 didn't. A few of them did not win their election last time. She's probably not going to win this time. And if she does win, you guys need to make sure she doesn't win the next time. This is super important. We're talking about the social transitioning of children and how harmful that is, not only to the child, but to society. Think about it being your child or your grandchild. So the fact of the matter is, you can go to the website, the State House website, and you can see the amendment. Let me read the amendment. I want to do that for you. I'll read the amendment. You'll see how simple it is. I think you're going to be disappointed in her. No funds awarded to a children's hospital under the grant program may be used to provide mental health services affirming the child's perception of the child's sex if the perception is inconsistent with the child's biological sex. Would you want your state representative to vote for that amendment no matter what bill it was on? Yeah, right? It's pretty simple. Vote yes on that. Your state representative, Angela Orr, voted against my amendment that would have stopped social transitioning through that grant program at that children's mental health hospital. One hospital, one grant at a time. I'm willing to protect every child if it takes me decades to continue to do it. And your state representative, Angela Orr, failed children by not voting yes on that amendment, even after we walked around and we told everyone, hey, change your vote. This is super important. 17 of the 28 members changed their vote. 11 did not. Angela Orr was one of 11. She either supports the social transitioning of children or she didn't like me. And I don't think that's an excuse to you guys, enough of an excuse to vote no on a wonderful amendment that would have protected children. Powerful statement, right? So I'm saying, and I said on the commercial, vote no on Angela Orr. Vote no on Angela Orr. And make sure that you elect somebody like Kat that will go to Austin and do the right thing all the time, regardless of whether she likes the author of the bill or not. Regardless of, yeah. Look, I don't go to Austin to make people like me, right? I'm okay that when I go home, my family and my constituents appreciate what I do, because last time I checked, 205,000 people are in the district that elect me. And if I do what they want, that's a lot more powerful than being best friends at the Capitol and voting to chastise someone that's a fighter that does the right thing all the time, every single time. You know what would have been a lot easier? What would have been a lot easier is for Angela Orr to say anything other than what she's saying. Tony's lying. She could have said, you know what? Back then I made a mistake. Now I look back and I probably should have done that. We learn as legislators, you know, they're not wrong. I should have probably do it. And, you know, maybe I'll author a bill to socially transition children, or to not allow the social transition of children now. But no, she didn't. She doubled and tripled down. I don't see the commercials here, but at other places in the state, they have my picture up saying he's a liar. Well, guess what? That's what gets me out of my house, out of my city, out of my district, to come to their district and tell their constituents they are lying to you. I'm bringing receipts. I brought you the audio. You can go to the website. You can look that on April 17th of that year, they killed my amendment on second reading with a point of order, games they play. I spent hours that night rewriting it so they couldn't kill it, brought it back the next day, and Angela Orr voted no on protecting children from social transitioning. It's right there. It shows 28 people voting no, 17 people changed their vote, 11 supported Democrats to stop my amendment to protect children from being transitioned at that hospital using that grant, which is your money. Disgusting, right? Pretty bad. So I'm hoping that you guys will consider pushing out 10 of your family, 10 of your friends. Get people to put signs out. We're getting late. We're getting late in the election cycle, and I don't think people realize these elections are sometimes won by 40 to 50 votes. Think about that for a moment. If everyone here brought 5 people, brought 10 people, we would have hundreds of votes, additional votes, thousands of votes rest on your lap, on your shoulders. You have the opportunity between now and Tuesday to get your neighbors, your family, and your friends to go vote and do the right thing and vote no on Angela Orr and yes on Kat. Does anyone have any questions? Here's what I don't do as a politician. I don't say no to any question. I answer every single thing honestly and ethically, and if I can't answer it, I will get back to you. But I do not shy away from questions. I don't care what the question is. Ask away.
Tony, did you ever get to see her afterwards and ask her, why would you vote against something like that?
If you listen to the the Chad Hasty show, which is up in the Panhandle, where Carl Tepper went on and played these silly games, really honestly embarrassed himself. I don't like it when my peers embarrass themselves. Contrary to them not liking me, I don't hate any of them. They're all important in their districts. They're all important to Texas. They all have values that are important to their district. I get it. I don't dislike any of them, but I don't trust a lot of them. And so I went. You'll hear on the Chad Hasty show where Carl Tepper said it was a gotcha amendment. And Chad Hasty said, well, then why did you say he came to the members lounge and talked to all the members to tell them to go change their vote, right? if it was a gotcha amendment, hey, you know what? Even if it was, it wasn't, but even if it was, would you want your representative to vote yes? So the answer is yes, I did. I went and talked to the members. I got members to change their vote that you would think would never have changed their vote, right? The author of the bill that stopped the horrible mutilation of children, Tom Oliverson, voted yes on my amendment. That says a lot right there. He voted yes on it. It's a game they play, and it's horrible. I talked to them all. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had 17 people switching their vote. The problem is Angela Orr did not. So did leadership at the time convince her to do it? Did she not like me? Did she support social transitioning? I can't give you that answer. And she's certainly not giving it to you because she's calling me a liar. But she's not bringing you any receipts. I'm seeing what she's doing with Kat right now. All of the lies she's putting out. It's so horrible. What I would highly recommend is you keep running a positive campaign. People do not like negative, and they know oftentimes when people are lying. It's hard. It's hard on my family. It's hard on your family to see you attacked and to know people are lying about you. Know this. When they're attacking you and saying horrible things, oftentimes your polling is going up. It really is. I've been doing this 12 years, and it's hard to feel that way. Your polling is oftentimes going up. Voters are smart. Voters are not, they're smart people. And they know when people are playing games. So you guys just keep running a positive campaign. Be positive at the polls. Talk to people at the polls. Don't be pushy at the polls, right? Be positive at the polls. You shouldn't even be talking bad about your opponent, right? You shouldn't be responding to all of the lies that this person's putting out, because then you're validated. Quit talking about the lies she's putting out. Quit talking about them. Talk about you and how great you are and the things that you're going to do for Texas. Now, if they bring up, she said this, say, look, it's the silliest thing, isn't it, that people are saying those things and that they would say those and that my family has to see it? They should be embarrassed by them for themselves for saying those things. We all know it's not true. What's important to you? What do you need from me? What am I going to do for you that's important? What do you need? Because we're servants, right? We serve the public. I'm here today because I serve my district and I serve the state of Texas, and I care what happens. So the answer is yes, I did talk to her, and she refused to change her vote. And it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. Any other questions? I know that 17-year-old over there that is like super involved in politics, homeschooled, motivated to be here, is super involved in politics here, has some question that she's like, I've always wondered if a guy in politics would answer this question. You have to have one. Anything, doesn't matter. Nothing? No question. Look, I'm just super excited that we have someone under the age of 20 that's here, that's a conservative Republican, right? A conservative Republican that's homeschooled, that their family cares enough about them to make sure that they're getting educated the way their family wants them to, right? Choice for everybody. Everybody gets the choice on how their children are educated is super important. And her family chose homeschooling. And I haven't run into a homeschooler that's not, all the homeschoolers I know at the Capitol, they're pretty smart. Their families are very good Christian people. I'm just super excited you're involved. Stay involved and keep doing what you're doing, and come up with a question before I leave today. Anybody else have any questions? No questions? Go ahead. In the back first. Go ahead. Start over.
I don't have a question, but just based on your comment on homeschooling, I wholeheartedly agree. I was homeschooled all of high school, and I just graduated Baylor, and I'm sure y'all can imagine how indoctrinated that school is. Every professor you have is just pushing this horrible agenda, and I'm proud to say it did not work on me. So, love homeschooling.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going to be really important for you to do. I'm glad that you didn't get indoctrinated. I'm glad that the system and the young folks and the college educators did not indoctrinate you. I'm going to use a name that's pretty important to everybody here. Take your experience and take the reasons that you didn't convert and share them like Charlie Kirk did. Make sure you are who you hang around. Make sure the people that are around you know what truth is and what values are and what being honest to ourselves as Christians and legislators, what we should be doing. Share that message, because I don't think that people under 25 are hearing enough of it from the people that did not get converted. Because look, we all grow up, right? Parts of your brain develop after you're 25, and people traditionally after 25, if they're not conservative, many of them will slowly convert. And you're going to have a direct impact on those folks. So please keep doing what you're doing. You have a question, ma'am?
Yes, I don't know what the people of Arlington think, but if Angela Orr listened to the people of Central Texas and listened to feedback and read the room, we aren't into sexually transitioning our minor children. Not at all. So she obviously doesn't listen to us.
I've worked with Angela Orr in the Texas House, and it should not matter what we think of each other in the House, right? But I did watch some behaviors that were not very professional. And when I say not professional, taking a bill from someone that's worked it for 5 years and then taking it and passing the bill and not including the one that's pushed it for 5 to 7 years, that's kind of unprofessional. But it wouldn't change how I vote on a bill, right? What I would say is there are too many people in Austin that are not listening to the people at home. Oftentimes they listen to a few people. They listen to their heart of, I just don't like that guy or I don't like that girl, so I'm going to vote no on their stuff just to prove a point, look cool on the board that I voted against his stuff because those people don't like him, and I'm going to be a team player. I don't know, last time I checked, my district doesn't want me to be a team player. They want me to vote for conservative legislation that the Republican Party put out, right? And then there's another group of people, some of them are intertwined, that are afraid of so-called leadership, right? They're afraid that the speaker and the chairman and chairwomen will be mad at them and they won't pass any of their bills if they do this. Well, I don't think that you send people down there for that either, right? You send people down there to pass the priorities and make conservative bills better, to make bad bills go away or make them less bad, because sadly we know that they're going to pass in Austin, so make them less bad. But I don't think anyone in Central Texas or anywhere in Texas for that matter says, you know what? I want my state rep to go to Austin and go along to get along. I want him to do what leadership tells them. And I want him, to poke at the people that they don't personally like and vote poorly because they don't like somebody. That's what she's doing. That's what she's doing to you, and she's not listening to you. And I can do this press conference today, and I can tell you. But I think what's going to be really important is for you to share the message that I'm sharing today. And there's several ways you can do it. Get 8 to 10 people out to vote, push them, work the polls, educate. And the other thing is, once this video's cut up and it goes on digital and it goes on social media, share it widely. Share it widely. Everywhere you can, on every platform you can. Get it out there. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Representative Tinderholt. I just appreciate it. And I'm here to talk today about something near and dear to my heart. It's agriculture. And as you know, my family's been generational ranching here in Central Texas. And so we have lost 150,000 family farms since 2018. The good news is that's not just in Texas, but that's the total across America. The bad news is that we've lost 150 family farms since 2018. More and more regulations at both the state and federal level are squeezing family ranchers and farmers out of what has been a lifestyle and a heritage for generations. Family ranchers in House District 13 are struggling to keep afloat for many reasons, including the fact that they can no longer get common antibiotics over the counter for animals at the local feed stores. Now they must get a large animal veterinarian to inspect their herd and prescribe what used to be able to just pick up, adding another layer of expense and time. This came about because of an FDA rule, Guidance for Industry, or GFI, number 263, issued in 2023 by the Biden administration. Neither I nor my staff could find any crisis or emergency that justified adding this layer of bureaucracy and expense to a system that has worked smoothly for generations. It has little to no effect on the big corporate farms and ranches, but it has another hurdle for the not so big guy, forcing more of them out of the business. Why? Seemingly, this is a federal issue, but it gets to the heart of why I'm running for this seat. I am not interested in just casting a vote on bills in Austin and scrambling to find a place in the pecking order of power brokers. I'm not going to be just the people's voice in Austin, but their advocate as well. I have not heard any officials speak out about this new burden on our family ranchers and farmers, but I will. I will lobby the feds to drop this, to quit defining success by how many new rules and burdens they can impose on people. It is just driving families out of farming and ranching and centralizing power to big corporate entities and the government. It is key. It is the key to my entire approach. You cannot know what problems people in the district have until you make it a point to spend time with them. Whether they're real problems or local, state, or federal problems, I will help them legislatively when I can and connect them with the right people to help them when I can't. And always, I will advocate for them, even at the highest levels, to solve the real problems we all face. Years ago, I worked with Representative Tony Tinderholt and with America's Principles Project and Concerned Women for America to successfully get boys out of girls' sports in Texas. When we succeeded, that success spread to over 20 other states. It was not an ideological issue, but a common sense answer to a real problem that was affecting people in the state. I will not push for new regulations just to regulate people. That is just a power game. It also gives people the illusion that you are doing something when you're actually ignoring their real problems. I have already made specific proposals to 1, increase local control while clawing back arbitrary problems from Austin, by clawing back arbitrary power from Austin. Number 2, address our water problems. 3, put an end to residential property taxes. That's just the beginning. If the voters of this district elect me, I will have several offices across the district, so it's easier to get in touch with me. I will constantly look to find the real problems people are facing every day and work together with them to find answers that actually solve their problems. Elect me, and you will not just have a state representative. You will get an ear that listens to you, a voice that speaks for you, and a passionate advocate for your interest. Thank you for attending, and I would be happy to take questions.
Interview you afterwards.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we were talking earlier, just about the ranching, data centers, water, et cetera. I mean, what needs to be, where does all that stand? Solar farms, et cetera, on the ranching side.
Well, that's all very near and dear to my heart. Having, we're a ranching family. Having dealt with ranching issues for years, it's an issue. And I don't think the power brokers in Austin really understand how important rural Texas is to the state of Texas. If they did, they would elect someone that represents the district like me. They wouldn't be pushing someone who does not understand our issues, who has no idea what it's like to have an orphaned oil well on their property, or no idea what it's like to have a very, very hard life and hard income when you're living off ranching. You're living against the mother nature, the wind, the storms, the rain, the summers, the drought, the snow. You're going against that. You're going against commodities. You can't get people to work. They have no idea. They're going to, you've heard the story in the Bible about Joseph, and he goes and he helps the king of Egypt prepare for going 7 years with famine. If Texas doesn't get this right, we could really be in a bad position with our food supply. And they are not listening to the farmers and ranchers in House District 13. Instead, they are taking some of the best soil in Texas and turning it into data farms and into solar farms, windmills, and they need to listen to the local people. They need to be strategic, but they're not. And they need to really understand what's going on. And so that's why I'm here to advocate for the people of House District 13. And that advocacy is not only good for us, it's good for Austin and it's good for the state.
Kat,
Yes. Mhm.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I have followed exactly like Tony has talked to us about being very positive about you with people. I talk to people every single day. I work every day. I wear my shirt as often as I can because I want people to see your
Thank you.
name.
Thank you.
But I'm not asking for that. My question is this. I've tried to constantly be very kind, giving, and listening to people when I talk to them, and it's very effective. But the thing that I need the help with the most is I believe that you are multi-generational, Leon County. But can you, excuse me, can you clarify that a little bit for me? Like 5 generations or?
Okay, so my great grandmother was one of the founding families of Leon County, and her last name was Proctor. She crossed into Leon County with the Lemons and the Sullivans and other families that are still there today. Now, she did marry, one of her daughters married into the Neelands. My grandmother was a Neeland, and she married a Wall. So that's why the Walls weren't there. It was my grandmother's family that was there. And it was a line of women that comes from, that heritage comes down from. But I'm so proud because that line of women poured into me. A lot of them were from the 1890s. And then when I was growing up, I was at their house. They would teach me things. They would show me how to crochet. They would teach me about life. They would teach me about the Lord. And so I really understand Leon County at a very grassroots level. But like many people in Leon County, I went off to work. I went to A&M and I had a huge debt. And I was told, Kat, if you can get into industrial distribution, you're going to be able to pay off your school loans. And I had a lot of loans and I said, okay, not really that excited about all this, but I'm going to do it. And I did. And it was a God thing because it actually ended up to be a very good career for me because I ended up selling products that were industrial, high tech, and it just worked out. And that was a blessing from God. I don't know. I was just doing it to pay off my debts. But anyway, I moved back to Leon County a couple of years ago, and so I just care about the people. And then whenever Carol and others started talking to me about this seat, I was concerned, and I had been watching Orr's vote. I voted for her in 24. And I wasn't real excited about some of the things I saw her doing, but that was that. But when Carol and them started talking to me about it, it seemed like there was a pathway here. And I'm one of those people that believe that the way God works things is you pray about it, but then he opens doors or he closes doors, and these doors keep getting opened. I really didn't think it was going to be this big of a race, but you know what? We had the team to do it. God put the people around me. I have no idea. I've probably got one of the best teams around, and I can't believe I've got all these volunteers. I've got people all over the district. I've got so much talent of many different types, and it was a God thing. It was totally a God thing. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the end, but no matter what, I'm not giving up. I'm always advocating for us because they need us. They need to hear the truth. And if you love someone, you will tell them the truth. And I love Texas. And I believe, and I love the governor. I love the state. I love the nation. So I believe the truth will set us free.
Kat, you impressed me that you cared so much for your constituents in the future that you took the people of Marlin to DC to help them with the water problems. You're not even elected yet and you care. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I did that because I do care. I think people need to have clean water. We live in a very prosperous state. If we can give $2.5 billion to Hollywood, we can provide clean water to our citizens. I mean, we should put our citizens first. Yes. Yes, yes.
Well, I just wanted to, I don't know a whole lot about politics, but I know that Angela has been censured, and a lot of people don't understand what that means. If you could maybe explain it a little bit or have someone explain that for us a little bit.
Why don't you hand that to Carol? She can explain it a lot better than I can, because I let the Republican Party work its own things because I thought that was their business and I needed to focus on my business, which was running this campaign.
Hey, Kat.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
I have to tell you, I did look for a candidate, and God sent me Kat. So I just want you to know that last January, I was at the Capitol with a bunch of my now precinct chairs in Leon County. I'm Carol Milder. I'm the county chair in Leon County. And we believed that we were going to have a Republican Party of Texas that was going to stand with us and make sure that our Republican candidates voted with our Republican platform and voted with our Republican priorities. We watched Angela Orr time after time after time vote against our priorities and our platform. So our executive committee in Leon County wrote up a censure. Also, Bosque County did, and Falls County concurred with it, and a couple other counties are working with us as well. So this is a 5-county chair or leadership that we're saying Angela Orr does not represent us. So we wrote a censure up. It went to the State Republican Executive Committee for a vote on October 11th, 2025. The vote was 43-15 in favor of censuring Angela Orr for her votes. This is a huge, huge victory for people that want to keep Texas red for real. And I'm telling you, they were threatening us. We were threatened with Class A misdemeanors if we continued with the censure. And to a man, every single one of the precinct chairs in my county and in the other counties said, yes, we want a representative that represents us and the Republican Party and the Republican platforms. And we had to get rid of Orr. And we wanted to do it at the ballot box, so we found a better candidate. And thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, to add to that, as I go around and I'm talking with people and they're telling me things they want me to do, I'm telling them, go to your precinct convention and your county convention, turn in resolutions for these ideas that you have that will really make Texas better. Because if you're an expert in education, you do that. If you're an expert in healthcare, you do that. And then these will go up to the state party and the grassroots will vote on them. And this would be a great way for us all together to make some significant changes from the grassroots that would really help the state.
As a prior student athlete, it is one of the closest things to my heart. As women, we fight so incredibly hard for the very little opportunity that we have in women's sports. I want to know, what will you do differently than Angela Orr did, and how will you fight for me and all women in women's sports and protect us from all of the craziness that Angela Orr has voted for?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. So right now in Texas, we have passed legislation, which we did in 21 for K through 12 to keep boys out of girls' sports. And then in 23, we did for NCAA. And I would be glad to advocate for women in women's sports that are more professional at the state capitol if that were to come up, because there are women that go through the ranks, that go through, K through 12, go through college, and then they want to be professionals, and they don't want, like we've seen them. They don't want to lift weights against men because they biologically are not made the same. It's not fair. Guys have different size hearts, different size lungs. Their physical mass is more. It's just the way they are designed. And so, of course, I will stand up for women that want to be in sports.
I've heard you talk about desalinization. Could you expand on that?
Yes, so desalination is something that is very, very effective. If you go to Israel, you can see how they've been able to take the desert and do much farming, and they have a great agriculture products there because even though they are in a very dry climate, they're able to get water in through desalination to water their crops. And, we've been blessed here in Texas that we haven't had to be so innovative in the past. But with the way technology is changing, our water tables are drying up. And groundwater is being used, but that's just a short-term fix. So what I'm proposing is if you're trying to make a significant change, like a data center coming in, that you have a lot of money, which right now the stock market's up because these kinds of companies are having a lot of investment put in them, that they take some of that money that they have and put it toward desalination plants. And what that would do would give us in Texas an opportunity to have other water sources from not only the ocean, but from the bays, which we have lots of resources there. And we would desalinate the water, and then that could take care of some of the needs that we have in Texas, and that would help alleviate the problems, because the more people move here, the more industry moves here, the more industry that uses water and power moves here, then it affects all of our prices and our availability. And so this would be a very easy answer. It just costs money. But I feel like if we could spend all the money we did giving Hollywood $2.5 billion, we could have already built 25 desalination plants.
Okay, I have this question. So last night at State of the Union, President Trump said that data centers need to provide their own power. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I think that's true. I think that's true, and many of them are tying into gas lines and that sort of thing. One of the things I'm interested in is researching on using thorium power, which is a green, clean nuclear power. It's a 99% clean, 1% dirty, whereas uranium is 99% dirty, 1% clean. But President Nixon decided we had to use uranium, and it's illegal to use anything but uranium for nuclear plants. And I'm not against uranium. I think it has certain applications, but I feel very passionately that we need to have other power sources that companies could use. And I'm very interested in helping to make sure that happens. I have worked on it in the past, and as soon as this campaign's over, I've got plans to work on it more. Yes. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for coming out. And like I said, this whole conversation this morning is so near and dear to my heart. I was telling Charlie, when I grew up, we had, the family refrigerator in the kitchen. It was full of cattle medicine that we would give our animals. So along with our eggs and our milk and our meat, we would have animal medicine everywhere that we would keep up with. And that just tells you how important that was to our family and how this is just integrated into our family. And to think that you have to get a large vet, which would cost you potentially hundreds of dollars. And if you're getting by on slim margins, you're cash strapped, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal, especially if you already understand how to administer the products, what products will work best. I mean, this is people investing their own money and their time in this. This is entrepreneurial, and to think that the government wants to come in and add more regulations on something as common and as basic that's been going on great for generations is just, it's just wrong. So I'm really glad we talked about this. There's other regulations I want to work on to just get rid of, so we can all live freer, and we could, the less regulations you have, I think the better life we all have. So thank you. Yes, Tatum.
Yes, I just have one more question. I don't know when you're elected, if this is in your realm or not, but I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. I don't know if everyone has seen what's going on in Texas public schools and high schools and middle schools right now, but I think maybe 2 weeks ago, all around Texas, schools are forcing little children to go out and protest ICE and skip class and prioritize protesting for ICE instead of learning how to read or write. And that was just appalling to me when I saw it on the internet. I mean, it's everywhere. And these little kids are cussing at ICE, every slur word you can think of. Little, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. Would you have any say in that? And if you would, how would you be able to prevent this?
What I would like for public schools in Texas to do is to major on the basics: reading, writing, arithmetic, life skills, things that actually make people productive citizens. That's what an education is about. Anything else, like what you're talking about, is indoctrination. And that is wrong. So I'm all for reading, writing, arithmetic, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. These are the kinds of things our children need to be learning, and look for innovative ways to make sure our kids get that, because we are way behind in the scope of the whole world in our basic understanding of science, technology, and math. And if we don't start teaching our children these kinds of things, it is going to have a drastic effect on the next generation and the generations to come.
I'm just coming up because I know that the media has got to get some places. We need to wrap it up. I take one more question if somebody has one. Carol, go ahead. You get the honor of the final place.
This is a very hot topic. I just need you to let us know what you will do about Sharia law in Texas.
That is a very hot topic, and I believe there is no place for Sharia law in Texas because it's conflicts with our Constitution. Our Constitution of the U.S. and the state, along with natural law, does not interact with it compatibly. And I think that around the state, there have been some issues with centers of people sticking together in small groups that are forming their own cultures. And we see how that has worked out in Europe. There's places in Europe. I mean, I remember, and was it 2013 in Cologne, Germany, women started being raped because they weren't wearing the right clothing for the Sharia law, even though that wasn't the law of Germany. And now it's just their tourism industry's way down. People don't want to go there. People don't want to go to places like that. And I don't want to see Texas like that. I can't tell you specifically what I would do, but I would tell you what my ideology is, and that is it is not compatible with us. And it's just like fixing education and other things. I really would like to see the state Republican Party come up with some real solutions that we can work on as a group, because one person cannot do this. It's going to take a whole group of us to have an impact.
Folks, I thank you for coming out here. This is going to be our last press conference of the primary season. It will not be our last press conference, because coming up with real answers to real problems is what Kat's that has been her directive to all of us. Let's cut through the nonsense and get through it. So thank you for being here.